the Big Tree Tech SKR Mini E3 V3. These are completely different boards, and you will need to know which one you have. So if you have the board that has a giant heatsink on it like this, you have the V3. If yours looks pretty generic, you probably have the V2. It's very important that you understand which version you have. So take a look closely at your board, your microcontroller, and find out exactly which one you have. So we're going to run in through two different ones. So let's look at the SKR Mini E3 V2 first. There is actually a site, TH3D Studios, that has firmware for the Ender 3 and the Ender 3 Pro for the SKR E3 Mini V1, V1.2, and V2 board. So if you have any of these, you can use this firmware. You know, it says that they don't actually sell this board. They don't sell it, so they're just offering this to you. So you would actually download right here this file, and it'll come right here, TH3D Unified SKR E3 Mini Zip. So then you just extract it with your favorite unzipping tool, and then you have this folder here. And this is the firmware folder. This is what you would load into VScode. It has all the things that you need. Now, let's say that you don't have that version. Let's say you have the V3 version, which is this one with the giant heatsink on it. If you have that, you'll have to come to GitHub, the Big Tree Tech GitHub, and you'll have to go for the Big Tree Tech SKR Mini E3 repository. So from Big Tree Tech, you'll only see like these first 6 up here, which is not what you want. You have to click on this button up top that says repositories. And the easiest way to do it, well, it actually popped up right here, but if you wanted to, you can search for it. You can put in there SKR E3. And you can see there's a turbo version. We don't want that. We want the Mini E3. So once you have this, you could technically go into firmware, go down to the V3 under Marlin, and then go under Ender 3. And then whether you have BL Touch or stock, you can go ahead and literally just grab this firmware.bin file. And you can be done. Load it on your board and be done. That's if you have absolutely stock, nothing else on that board. Or you can run through it the way we're going to do it. So let's go back here. This is back to the main Big Tree Tech SKR Mini E3 page. You'll want to go to Code, click on it, and then hit Download Zip. Once you do that, it'll download this Big Tree Tech SKR Mini E3 master.zip file, which is fine. That's what we want. So we're going to go ahead and unzip that as well. And it takes a little while because obviously it's a lot larger folder. It contains far more than the first one actually did. And it puts a subfolder in there. And then it goes down here into firmware. And then it goes down to V3. And then it goes down to Marlin. And then obviously again it goes down to the Ender 3 and then stock. So all that fun stuff. So knowing that, you don't have to have any of these other folders or anything like that. You just want to care about the firmware. So knowing that, you got to know where your folder is at before you open it up in VS Code. So we're going to pop over here to VS Code. I'm going to try and maximize this so you guys can see here. This is VS Code, completely blank. Nothing's open at all. So what you want to do is go up to the File menu in the first top, and you want to open Folder, not File, open Folder. So then it'll ask where your folder's at. I've got mine in New Folder. So you pick which one you have. This is the E3 Master. So again, this is if you have the version 3 board. The TH3D one is if you have the version 2 or below board. So let's just go ahead and open up the version 2 board, assuming you have that. We go in here, we go to Firmware, don't open it, just hit Select Folder. Once you hit Select Folder, you can see it up here on the top. It shows everything you need. It has the INI files. It has the platform.io.ini. and it popped open the INI already. And you can see over here it has the proper default environment selected. That's fine. That's what we want. This STM32 board. You can usually close this platform IO home, which is fine. So what you want to do is you want to go down here to where it says Marlin, and you go down here to configuration.h. And then this looks a little different because this is the TH3D Studios version. So you would just uncomment define ender 3, and that tells it that you have an ender 3. If you had a BL touch or something, you could come down here to where it says custom probe, and you would uncomment that. But that's, again, more advanced stuff. So you shouldn't have to mess with that. And then you can uncomment which version you're using. So if you have the version 2 board, you just uncomment this, and then you actually should be pretty good to go. That's all you need to do if you have the V2 board and it's stock. You can do other things. Like I said, you can change the custom probe options and a bunch of other stuff. But if you don't have that, that's literally all you do. Now go here to File, hit Save. That way it's saved all of our changes, and you should see a little tick box down here where it says platform.io build. Go ahead and click on that, and it should run through its actual build sequence. And you have to be connected to the internet for this to work, because if there's other things, like you see it says unpacking has been installed down here, it's actually finding all these files that it needs through GitHub, and it's pulling them in and unpacking them and installing them. That way it can actually compile this firmware properly. So you can see it's going through all the hardware extraction layers down here. It's still building. It might take a minute or two, but it should successfully complete. So let's go ahead and give it a few minutes. Probably a little warning that popped up there. So it's compiling all the modules down here. Skip ahead in the video if you don't want to watch all this happen. It's pretty boring. And done. So it succeeded. 1 minute. Now, in order to find it, you can, right here, where it shows the project environment. Oh, darn it. One of these you can actually right click on, and you can show where it is in the actual browser. I forget exactly where it's at. If we actually pull up the TH3D Studio, it walks you through all of this. So it shows you open folder, go to configuration.h, uncomment what you need, hit the check mark, and then, right here is where you can reveal it in File Explorer. So let's go ahead and pull that back up. So over here under Platform IO, build, and then right here you can right click, reveal in File Explorer. It brings it up. You go in here and you grab the firmware.bin file, drag that onto your micro SD card, put it in, reset the printer, and it should be good to go. Now what happens if you're here and you're like, oh no, I forgot, I actually have the V3 board? Well, you don't want to be messing around in here because this isn't going to work for you. None of this is actually going to work. So what you want to do is close out anything that's up here on the tab. You want to select this firmware right here, select the folder, go to File, and then go all the way down to Close Folder. Poof, that gets rid of it. You're freshly new, you don't have any conflicting files, anything like that. So you're looking good. So now you can, if I can get this thing to actually grab on the screen here, now you can actually go ahead and open another folder. So open folder, same thing we did that last time. We're going to go to Big Tree Tech SKR Mini E3 Master, and go in one more time, and then click on firmware, but don't open it. hit select folder, and it will bring up everything that you need here as well. So say you have the version 3. You would go down here, go down to Marlin, go down to Ender 3, and then you would go down to either stock, BL touch, or anything like that. And then you can, go to the configuration.h. So from here, you would need to look at the platform.io.ini, make sure that it has the correct build environment. And once you're in the configuration.h folder, you won't see a little tick mark down here anymore because you're so deep into it that it doesn't know what you want to do if it wants to build for one of these other ones. So you'll have to come over here to the little platform IO icon. But before you do, make note of the actual build environment right here. So we're looking at G0B1RE. So what you need to do is under platform IO, go to open, and boards, and then you can actually search for it. So let's go ahead and copy that. Go back over here, paste it, if it wants to actually paste. Huh, no result for the V3 board. Interesting. All right, so I have done several tests on this. I've opened it in various ways. I've closed it, opened the V3, pretty much everything, but this board does not exist in platform IO. So if I go to boards and I actually search for it, it doesn't exist. So there's really no way to compile this. That's not even the correct board there either. So for this microprocessor, for the V3, it does not have an actual board, which is really interesting. Very interesting indeed. I'm going to see if this is actually in Marlin at all to see if there's a different processor for it. Give me 1 minute and I'll pull up Marlin. All right, so here's my download of Marlin itself. So we're going to go here into Marlin's configuration.h, where I would typically put a board at the very top down here. So the last thing I worked on was an SKR turbo. Let's go down to Marlin. Then we want to go down to source and core, and then go to the boards.h file. And let's just go ahead and hit Control F to find this thing. Let's go SKR. So we have 7 of 36 results. So we got V1 turbo. There's an E3 turbo. Let's see. We have a mini E3. Okay, so here we have it right here. So we're looking for this environment right here. That's what we want. Let's see. If we go down to platform.io.ini, let's see if we change that default environment to that. And then we go over here to the platform.io head icon. We should be able to find it. So we're looking for STM32G0 EF. There's a whole bunch of stuff down here. There's a E3, but that's not it. Wow. I think this is it right here. So that would be it. That's the environment we need to build for. Okay. So basically, if you download it from the Big Tree Tech website, you're out of luck. You can't use their download to do this. You actually have to go and grab Marlin itself, and you would have to go through the entire configuration.h and actually copy this board right here to the configuration.h file. And you would have to go through every single line in this code and actually make it for this complete and total compilation, which is very interesting indeed. And it's actually taking like forever to load this thing, so I'm not even sure if it would work. It's very interesting. Very interesting indeed. So I'm going to let it load and see if we can actually get it to compile. Okay, we're back. This STM32G0B1RE finally loaded. So what you want to do is hit build. So this can actually build the firmware. And it automatically failed. So, it says an unknown environment name. So that's interesting. Let's do _BTT and see if it works then. Because that matches that. Let's go ahead and hit build again. It did not like that either. Why? Let's find out. So it looks like only CR10 stock display, Ender 2 stock display, or this is currently supported. Okay, so it freaked out because I went over here and I have a different display selected. Let's go down to displays. I had a rep full graphic discount smart controller selected, so let's go ahead and comment that out. Let's go ahead and search for CR10, and we want to uncomment the CR10 stock display. So that's good to know. If you have a TFT screen, this will not work with the E3. Super fun. All right, let's go back to building. Oh, and let's let it load for another 10 minutes and see what happens. Okay, this environment really likes to take forever to load. I've never seen something take that long. So let's go ahead and click build again, and it'll probably fail instantly. Yay! Cool. Took less than a second. Let's see what happened. No stepper plug left for Z2. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, so remember how I said I did this for a turbo? So apparently that is not going to make it happy. So let me try to wipe this entire configuration.h and see what happens. I'll try to recompile it with like literally just the display, a stock Ender 3. Let's go. Alright, so I went to Marlin Firmware and downloaded the latest bug fix, which you can see here, Marlin bug fix 2.1.x. You also need to download the configurations, which has like the default configuration. It also has examples for all the different printers, so that's what we're going to actually start with. So let's go ahead and download that as a zip file as well. And it's probably going to take a while because it's a bit of a larger file here. But then we'll want to unzip that as well as soon as it's done. So I'm going to copy that over here. So we'll unzip the configurations. And here's where it gets a little confusing. So you'll have to go into configurations bug fix, go down to examples, and then go to Creality, and then go look for the Ender 3, and then it has all these different possible configurations. So here's one for the SKR Mini E3 3.0. So now that we have that, copy all of these, copy them, go back to your Marlin bug fix folder inside the config folder, inside the Marlin folder, and then paste them, and it asks, do you want to replace them? Yes. So that replaces everything in here, which is great. Now we can go back to VS Code, open that folder, which is the bugfix 2.1.x, go in there, so there will be two layers. So bugfix, select that one, and it should start populating everything you can need up here. Whoops, I selected the wrong file. You see what happens? Even to people who do this all the time, this happens. So let's try this again. Open folder. Let's go in here. I don't want configurations. I want Marlin bug fix. Let's open that one. There we go. That looks like the Marlin we know and love. All right. So we will still have to change this platform.ini file to the proper one, which is fine. So in order to do that, we'll have to go down to Marlin, configuration.h, and you should see that it does link to that configuration. It has the proper name down here. The board is correct. So what you want to do is you want to copy this, go down to source, core, boards, and we'll control F, paste that in here. So it takes us right to the board. We want to copy this processor. So copy that. And then we want to come back to the platform.io.ini file, paste that, and then underscore BTT. And then obviously we want to save that. And now we should be good to go. It should compile. It should have everything properly defined. Ender 3. It has 2209 drivers. So everything should compile. Now we have a little tick box down here. So it's happy. It likes this version. So let's see if we can just click the little tick box. See what happens. That way we don't have to wait for that folder to load for like 20 minutes. And I kid you not, that is not an exaggeration. That's the longest environment I've ever seen to ever load. Ever. Alright, so it's unpacking. It's finding the dependencies. Again, make sure you're connected to the internet when you do this. Otherwise, it's just going to not be able to find these dependencies. It's not be able to grab them from GitHub. It's just going to be an absolute pain. So just make sure you're connected to the internet before you do this. If you want to go ahead and skip forward in the video until this is actually done, whether it passes or fails, I don't blame you. Horrible singing in the background because I don't want a copyright strike on my channel. We're almost done there. Got the framework building. Lib firmware elf done. So it looked like it successfully compiled. This was probably the most headache version to get done, and this is why I use boards that are about 3 generations behind, so I don't have to deal with this. Alright, so that being said, it's happy. It knows where it compiled. It's good. So we should be able to go up to this PIO folder under the build, and then right click it, reveal in File Explorer. Here we are. Open that up. There's your firmware.bin file. Copy that bad boy to the micro SD card, stick it in there, reboot the printer, and it should be good. Now remember, this only works with a stock display on an Ender 3. If you have a TFT screen, you are absolutely screwed, and you cannot use this for whatever reason. I have no idea why they chose to do that. Just as an example, let's go down here and see which one. I'm actually going to search for it. Let's go CR10. Yep, CR10 stock display. So if you have a TFT screen, this won't work. Either get a new board or a different screen. Apologize in advance for that. But yeah, that's everything that I did to get this thing working. So if you have a V3, good luck, my friend. Good luck. So in order to do that, we'll have to go down to Marlin, configuration.h, and you should see that it does link to that configuration. It has the proper name down here. The board is correct. So what you want to do is you want to copy this, go down to source, core, boards, and we'll Control F, paste that in here so it takes us right to the board. We want to copy this processor, so copy that, and then we want to come back to the platform.io.ini file, paste that, and then underscore BTT. And then obviously we want to save that. And now we should be good to go. It should compile. It should have everything properly defined. Ender 3. It has 2209 drivers. So everything should compile. Now we have a little tick box down here. So it's happy. It likes this version. So let's see if we can just click the little tick box, see what happens. That way we don't have to wait for that folder to load for like 20 minutes. But I kid you not, that is not an exaggeration. That's the longest environment I've ever seen to ever load, ever. All right, so it's unpacking. It's finding the dependencies. Again, make sure you're connected to the internet when you do this. Otherwise, it's just going to not be able to find these dependencies. It's not be able to grab them from GitHub. It's just going to be an absolute pain. So just make sure you're connected to the internet before you do this. If you want to go ahead and skip forward in the video until this is actually done, whether it passes or fails, I don't blame you. Horrible singing in the background because I don't want a copyright strike on my channel. We're almost done there. Got the framework building. Lib firmware elf done. So it looked like it successfully compiled. This was probably the most headache version to get done, and this is why I use boards that are about 3 generations behind, so I don't have to deal with this. All right, so that being said, it's happy. It knows where it compiled. It's good. So we should be able to go up to this PIO folder under the build, and then right-click it, reveal in File Explorer. Here we are. Open that up. There's your firmware.bin file. Copy that bad boy to the micro SD card, stick it in there, reboot the printer, and it should be good. Now remember, this only works with a stock display on an Ender 3. If you have a TFT screen, you are absolutely screwed, and you cannot use this for whatever reason. I have no idea why they chose to do that. Just as an example, let's go down here and see which one. I'm actually going to search for it. Let's go CR10. Yep, CR10 stock display. So if you have a TFT screen, this won't work. Either get a new board or a different screen. Apologize in advance for that. But yeah, that's everything that I did to get this thing working. So if you have a V3, good luck, my friend. Good luck.